Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another day of 30 NSG. On today's show, we're going to be talking about Sony has a help system. Sony also has a new patent, and they're also streaming I guess they're streaming. Sony is now streaming PlayStation 5 games at 4K over the internet. Guys said it couldn't be done. So we're going to talk about that. And then we're going to talk about Ahsoka, which I don't know how it happens this fast after we talk about it. I said about the veil. I've talked about it for years. Any of you that watched our Mando stuff back in like season 2, or watched Boba Fett, or watched the Obi-Wan series when we reviewed it on our other Nerding with 30 channel, we talked about how possibility of, I said Ahsoka, if they make a show of Ahsoka and how it comes out based on the veil, they're going to mess up stuff. They're going to try to reboot things. Now, this is not evidence, like total 100% that that's what's happening, but goddamn is it coming, it's fruition, right? I put it out in the universe, and now it's actually happening. There was multiple articles written, so we're going to go over the Ahsoka rumor to feature a duel between Anakin Skywalker and Obi-Wan Kenobi on Mustafar, or is it? Okay, so we'll talk about that all on today's show. If you like this type of content, we do this Monday through Thursday from 10 o'clock in the morning till about noon Eastern. We go over a few stories, have banter back and forth with chat. So we do appreciate you coming out, hanging out with us. You can hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. If you'd like to go above and beyond that, you become a member as little as $5. So let's start off. Let's start off with Sony, shall we? Let's start off with Sony. So Sony has a new Sony Help System. Could be a real game changer. Okay. Real game changer. Now, we've talked about this patent before, but it's back in the news, I guess. The new patent from Sony details a new assistance program for the future games that would be a huge help to a more casual crowd. Okay. A new patent from Sony has been revealed, giving players some extra help should they get lost at PlayStation game. You know, all those gamers that get lost. This continues to grow back our growing streak of Sony patents that would provide player assistance and smooth out the experience. Noted as one of the largest electronic manufacturers in the world, Sony has been a big name in the world of technology and cameras and computers to even the record label. Now, even had extremely successful ventures into media productions, owning movie studios, recording labels, of course, the PlayStation console line, which also dominated multiple hardware generations in the video game industry. Despite these 5 consoles being generally associated with the hardware gaming, Sony has also shown the effort to recent years to provide more inclusive, casual-friendly experiences, whether it's through modified controls or new gimmicks to capture the magic, or Sony reveals, or even the programs that will add to future games. Now, Sony's latest patent details a program that would provide a dynamic hint system to players in its games. This feature would analyze the player's current in-game objective and provide a solution by looking through the past data of other players who have passed through the same part of the game. It is not clear whether or not the player would have to say in which other player's data they would be shown, or whether they would also be able to either toggle the assistance or decide whether they own the gameplay. Their own gameplay can be used to assist others, but it should definitely provide a huge help in some of the more difficult PlayStation games. So here's the patent. Okay, the patent says determine activity is a zone in video game the video game player is currently playing, 1502. Determine map available actively or zone, 1504. Determine the current position of the video game, 1506. Provide map and suggest activity. Now, the patent included multiple drawings, detailed a process in which the assistant program would kick in by tracking the player's exact in-game location, as well as a way the data would also travel between devices. How said data would also sort based on players' current predicament. And now it would also further narrow down to provide the best strategy advice all in all. Okay, it seems like a nifty feature, but players also want a more accessible experience without having to limit their game selection or choice, laughable low difficulty level. Combine this with the similar patent Sony filed inventory management, and also make even games as brutal as Elden Ring a cozier time for some. Now, seeing the video game companies throwing a bone to players to make the gaming experience more accessible and more streamlined, it's always nice to see whether they threw the feature that make the gameplay less confusing, or even allow players to discover new games based on their preference. Sony has been consistent streak of proposing ideas for these purposes, and there's no telling when it'll stop. Look, I'm okay with helping people, but isn't that what YouTube videos are? Isn't that what that? So now we've taken that completely out of the thing. So instead of people making like walkthroughs and like, hey, when you get to this puzzle, make sure you take a turn at this rock over here on the left side. You want to go back there and you'll find a hidden treasure. Now, instead, Sony has a patent that says most of our players that play games are idiots. This is why they're doing the patent. Let's be honest, right? I'm not saying people that play Sony games are idiots. What I'm saying is that they have a patent that they've said that people that play Sony games, people on our system, there's a lot of people that if it's feedback, if it's data through the online games that they've seen, they're like, a lot of people just stop playing games because it's too difficult for them. So they decided that everyone's an idiot, and now they're going to put a patent in place. Doesn't mean they're going to use it, but they have a patent for it. That everyone's an idiot in the game, and now they're going to help you along and hold your hand. This takes it to a whole new level. Let alone the actual marker where it tells you to go to the quest line. Now there might be a marker and a line to go and find the actual quest. So you're not even playing a game anymore. You're not even trying to like better yourself in any way, shape, or form by trying to make your brain actually work. Now it's literally just turn the game on, look like a zombie, go from point A to point B, beat the game, go on the next thing, so you can finish the game, feel good about yourself that you completed a game that you had your hand held the entire time, so you can move on to the next said game, so you can get your hand held the entire way you're going through. I don't know what you guys think about this. My first reaction is, this is stupid. Now, to say that if this is an opt-in type of thing where you go into the settings and like change it, sure. Okay. But if this is a thing that's automatically there, sort of like, I guess we've almost kind of seen this already. In God of War Ragnarok, if you were playing, and I didn't play it, I watched people play it. If you took more than 3 seconds to try to figure out a puzzle, it would be like, hey, it would be nice if you shot that arrow at the wall. It would like literally tell you what to do. And I was just like, I want to play the game, right? So it's very intriguing to me that that's basically the way I'm seeing it, right? The way I'm seeing it. Let me go to chat here. Stel says Ahsoka will still be good. Ahsoka will still be good. I see Stel doing this, right? Jesse Max says only Dave F will save Star Wars with Ahsoka. I don't know, Jesse. I don't know. Morning, Super Dave. Travis says, so the short version of Star Wars is dead. All right, let's see what else. Just dropping facts, Super Dave. Sony wants to help the noobs. It doesn't sound like they're helping the noobs. It sounds like they're just throwing it out there because I would assume if people don't want to buy a game because they're like, it's too hard, I don't want to play the game. Now, if there's a help system, it'll automatically help them through the game, right? I mean, most gamers are noobs nowadays. I mean, if you like people who think Fortnite is playable. Dave Rose, morning. Yeah, but this is, you don't have to leave your console to help or tips, or it also could be as good help for disabled players. Sure, you could always go back to the disabled player argument, Dave, and that's fine. And again, if this is an opt-in thing, I have no problem with it. If this is a automatic, back in the day when you went through a game, you didn't see a marker going all across the whole thing, right? We started relying on the marker. Where's my mission? Where's the quest? You would just go on a quest. Now the world's got so big and so thin, they had to put a marker, and then you walk to that marker, right? It's not just wandering around and just living in the game, playing the game, right? God of War Ragnarok literally tells you, shoot the thing on the wall. That's how you open the door. You're like, whoa, let me figure it out, right? That to me is the bad part, where if they start to not opt in, and it just literally tells you everything to do just so you get done with the game faster so you can move on, right? I mean, not really. YouTubers is more people who can't get the real job they want, focus on hobbies. Now you'll excuse me if I have a podcast or two. I mean, Travis, I don't know about the job they want or a real job. What's a real job? In my definition, a real job is a job that makes money, right? What's a real job? Is the person that's working in a Chinese workshop making 10 cents an hour, making shoelaces or shoes for you to buy for $20 off Amazon, is that considered a real job, or is that considered a non-real job? I hope that players turn it off. I mean, I just hope it's an opt-in, Jesse. That's all I'm saying. Travis says, I kind of doubt it will be in every game. I mean, it sounds like if it's a patent, it would probably be in all games, right? It would probably be in all of Sony's first-party title games. Hence why they're filing a patent. Well, now I can't play a game. A game is not a compass. I mean, it's okay to have a compass, right? That gives you and learns direction. So if you're in an open world map and the quest giver says, go west to the Citadel, and you're like, okay, I got to go west. And then you turn your compass to west and you start walking west until you see a big tower in the distance. And you're like, maybe that's the Citadel. And then you start walking towards the Citadel and you get there and you're like, this is not the Citadel. This is just another town. I got to find the Citadel. It's still west. I got to go farther, right? Instead of going marker and then walk towards the thing. Or even better yet, keep going. You're getting warmer. I don't know. I feel like this is tiptoeing on my brain goes in the process of Sony, Xbox, any game company looks at it and says, there's a lot of games out there, and a lot of games people don't have time to go complete, right? Like a Baldur's Gate 3 is hundreds of hours, right? Diablo, playing through the thing, leveling up to 100 is hundreds of hours. They want you to play their game, but they also look at it and go, wait a minute, if they're playing this game, they're not playing other games, and how do we make more money, right? If they're not paying for microtransactions and they're not buying other games, then what are those people doing, right? So they have to help you. They have to help you go through the game faster so they can try to monetize you more. If it's buying another game, if it's buying a microtransaction, you have to engage into the thing. I don't think this is one of those things that Dave Rose brought up where it could be help disabled people. I don't think that's the reason the patent. Hell, even in the article, it doesn't say anything about to help disabled people. It's just to help people going through for you know what I mean? So I don't know. It's a different day, and age gamers do have the kind of patience anymore, and the race to finish games now. Yeah, it's just weird to me, Rose, that people just try to, like, can you imagine if this was possible, right? It's like, I would like to pay $15 to go see a movie in theaters, but I would like to fast forward the movie, right? I don't have time to watch the movie. I'm going to watch it at double time, right? Now, I do that when I'm in the background listening to YouTube videos, but I didn't pay for those. You see what I'm saying? I'm not paying for the YouTube videos. Those are free information, so I'm like sort of like listening to it in the background. But if I pay to watch something, I'm there to enjoy the actual thing. So why would I want it to go faster? Unless it sucks. Then I would just get up and walk out and ask for my money back, type of thing. Super Dave says, damn compass. I mean, in the case of certain movies, that would be fine, like how boring Titanic was. Again, you're missing the point, though, Travis. I know you're trying to make a joke or whatever, but if you went to the movie to watch a movie, you want to watch the movie, right? You paid money to go watch something, so why would you want to fast forward through it? Why would you want to complete it faster? Sony wants their own hands. Then I slap them hands off my gaming like F. Get off my, get off, right? We've read about other patents that Sony has done, right? We've talked about the help call center that they had, right? Just like they had with Nintendo back in the day. We had where the AI plays the game for you. Sony has a patent for that as well. We also had a patent from Sony. What was the other one? They had so many patents about not playing the game faster, helping you through the game. It's just very strange to me that they have all these patents of people that don't play their games. It's very strange. And again, I'll use God of War Ragnarok as the example. It's one of the worst things in that game, right? Where it gives you a hint. It's like, you got to figure out how to open this door. You're like, all right, let's figure out how to open the door. Where should it be? Maybe it's up in that vine. Maybe you should check the tree. It's like, what? Did you check the tree? I guess I'm going to check the tree. Okay, I'm looking at the tree. I can't find it. And it's like, it's the third branch from the left. Oh, well, thanks. It's like, why even put a fucking hidden door or a lever? Just let it open up and just walk through, right? There's no point of putting a puzzle in a game if you're going to tell me the answer within 10 seconds. I don't mind the idea. If it's the option, yeah. But mandatory, that's a no. God of War, you can't opt in. You can shut it off, right? I believe you could turn it off, but it's automatically on. And that's the problem, Travis. That's the problem. I missed when you take forever in Arkham games and the Riddler would get pissed and tell you the answer. Yeah. Right? But to me, it's like, if you ask, right, as long as it's a question, maybe the Riddler, would be like, hey, do you want to know the answer? He would get disappointed in you or something, right? I thought you were smarter, Batman. Hey, give me a type of thing. But I would ignore a truist, kind of like a father. Yeah, just completely don't give him the time of day. So from that Sony story, we're going to go to the next Sony story, which is Sony is now streaming PlayStation 5 games at 4K over the internet in public beta. Now, a lot of you guys said that there's no way this is going to happen just a few months ago. Said that there's no way the data is we don't have that much data or whatnot. Now, obviously, most of the world can't do it, but 4K could be a big deal, not just because of graphics, but clarity. Okay. Sony said it was coming in now, and here it is. Sony is now confirming it's launched a public beta test of PlayStation 5 cloud gaming, one that streams games to PlayStation 5 at up to 4K resolution, according to gamers who now receiving invitations. We didn't previously know that Sony could be streaming at 4K, and that could be a big deal no matter what that 4K actually means. So anyone else get this invite to try the new PlayStation 5 game cloud streaming preview /beta? Got just an email inviting me to download the latest beta system software, but also try the ability to stream PlayStation 5 games. The actual thing says, welcome to the PlayStation 5 public beta of PlayStation 5 cloud streaming. Congratulations. As a PlayStation Plus premium member, in addition to helping test our PlayStation 5 public beta, you've been selected to try the new PlayStation 5 cloud streaming feature that's coming soon to PlayStation 5 and PlayStation Plus Premium. You'll find an exclusive voucher code below. Okay. So while Sony spokesperson Mary Tang says the company doesn't have an additional details to share, several users at a popular gaming forum, Reset Era, says that they made it in and they are sharing some early impressions. Original poster, Arash Games, says that they can choose between 720p, 1080p, 1440p, and 2160p, which is the 4K resolution, which with games automatically loading your cloud saves you can pick up and play. Now, while cloud saves may seem like a table stakes, this has also been the case. Early versions of the Sony PlayStation Now cloud gaming service understandably had no initial way to import save games from the PlayStation 3, for instance. So while it's not clear whether the 4K max resolution refers to render resolution, i.e. the gaming graphics, or the streaming resolution of the actual size of the image beamed to your TV, either would help because of how the cloud games are streamed. Images have to be compressed quite small to get rapidly fired across the internet 60 times a second or more, and the compression can often manifest as an ugly haze over the otherwise perfectly playable game. Streaming at 4K resolution helps fix that, even if you don't have 4K screen, as he explains testing the NVIDIA GeForce Now and Google Stadia. Both of those services offered a 4K streaming, but asked you to pay extra for it. Now, Arash Games says available games include God of War Ragnarok, Horizon Forbidden West, Fortnite, Fall Guys, Destiny 2, Eternal Demon Souls, Death Stranding, Sackboy, Big Adventure, Destruction All-Stars, and Fall Guys, with trials available for Resident Evil Village and Demon Slayer as well. In June, when Sony first said that it planned to test the PlayStation 5 gaming streaming, the company suggested that the test would include the PlayStation 5 titles from the PlayStation Plus game catalog and the game trials, as well as supported digital PlayStation 5 titles that players own. And that is what is additional games over time. So in June, it's still not clear whether Sony's upcoming Q handheld will stream any of these games, or PlayStation 5 streaming will be available anywhere save PlayStation 5 itself. We do know that Sony had a huge hiring push around the new version of the cloud gaming, though. There you go. So this kind of makes me have a case of that Xbox or Microsoft is still going to make that little box that they're trying to get to be a streaming box, right? This is just another push in the industry where if there's smoke, there's fire, right? So streaming, PlayStation's doing the 4K. And again, in the article, it doesn't know if it's doing the 4K streaming for the games or if it's the compression for the internet upside, but it's 4K streaming, which, you know, the more it's out there, the more it's tested, the faster it comes, exponentially faster. So within the next, I would say, 2 years, we're going to see a bigger push for this. So bringing this back down to Microsoft saying that they didn't want to release that box, the Keystone, codename Keystone, because they couldn't get the price down. That's the one thing I think Xbox is going to do. I think they are, because they're already, and let me bring this article up. I didn't put it in here, but this is basically the same, right? So let me find this article real fast. Yeah. So this is happening. Okay. So Xbox's marketing Starfield, right, starts by telling users they don't need an Xbox console, right? Just get the Starfield on Samsung TV, no console required. Okay. So I want to make a connection here, right? So Sony's doing the PlayStation 5 games at 4K over the internet. Obviously, the Samsung TVs are doing the exact same thing, right? They're doing internet streaming. So Xbox has already been doing this, right, with the xCloud gaming. Now PlayStation is going to be doing the same thing. They're going to be pushing this, testing this, because they also have that handheld device that they're doing for the PlayStation as well. So exponentially, this is going to happen. So I think the next system for Xbox is not an upgrade for the Xbox Series X. I truly believe that it's the box that connects to your television, and anyone can buy it for less than $100 or $100. And I think Sony's doing the same thing. I mean, their little portable unit's $300, right? So I think this is the way that they're trying to push, right? They're trying to push the industry forward with this streaming services that a lot of people said that's not going to happen. Let me see what you guys are saying in chat. Different day and age. Travis says, I mean, this is the case. Certain movies. Jesse Max says 30. Sony wants their own hands. I already read that one. Travis says, I don't mind the idea. It's the option. Yeah, mandatory is a no. Let's see. I missed when we take over. I already read that. Accessibility option to allow 2 controls to play at the same time. What's going on, Titan? Travis says, oh, I just ignore kind of like a father. You already read that. NPCs hint should be optional by asking. I agree. As long as that patent comes out and it's an opt-in and not an opt-out, I'll be fine. Travis says, I hate how every time I say PlayStation, my system thinks it's me talking. I haven't sent me an invite just yet. Oh, for the PlayStation 5 streaming? Good for PlayStation 5 handheld. That's coming. But it's not 4K. No, it's not 4K. But the streaming itself, though, they're testing the streaming for the console, right? They have to move forward, right? Obviously, Sony's going to be doing a push of, and maybe they already do this and I don't know, right? And you PlayStation fans out there that have a Sony television, I think Boss has a television. I don't know if Boss is here. If Boss is here, can you tell me on the Sony television, can you play PlayStation 5 games without a console? Right? You can use the PlayStation 5 controller for Game Pass. Seen someone use it for Samsung with Game Pass. Interesting. Right? So I try not to say I try not to say the Amazon product, Travis. I didn't know PlayStation did that. No, you cannot. Okay, so I could see them stealth, right? I could see Sony doing the exact same thing that Xbox did, and they could do it easier, right? Because Sony, they can just sell televisions now. They don't need to sell PlayStation 5s, right? If they do the streaming aspect of it, they can just sell their television and give you the PlayStation Plus experience through their Sony TV, right? It's very smart. They already make the television sets. Now, are they going to be working on a box slash, system where you can connect it to any other TV, right? Because obviously Sony has their own TVs. Xbox or Microsoft doesn't make TVs. That's why they went in with Samsung. And then they'll make that keystone, that other box that they wanted to do, a streaming box, basically. And they'll put that on all televisions. I mean, that's basically what the Stadia was, but it was ahead of its time. And they had such a shitty business model of I have to buy the same games over again, where Xbox and Sony already have the catalog there, right? So you don't have to buy it over. So Stadia had good technology, but it didn't have the resources, where Microsoft and Sony both have the resources. So hell, even Amazon Luna is doing the streaming over the internet, right? So this is just going to get exponentially bigger and bigger. Hence why I said Microsoft a few weeks ago during the FTC hearing that they just want to get, well, we said months ago, a year and a half ago, I guess now, that they're buying it for the mobile device and for PC and to get more titles on the streaming service, right? So Sony's busy, man. Sony's busy. Not only are they getting patents left and right so they can finish your games for you, but they're also pushing their games more on PC. They're bringing that handheld device out. They got the VR headset. They got the portable device. And now they're pushing the streaming for 4K for the service. And you guys that are PlayStation can hopefully sign up or whatever and get in. But Sony is making the changes. And if you remember, if you've been around, about 2 years ago, I said Sony, it's over 2 years ago. It feels like 2 years ago. But I said Sony has to pivot. They have to start putting games on the PC. They have to start selling their games on the PC. They have to start competing with Xbox. Since then, they've made PlayStation Now, PlayStation Plus. They upgraded with the tiers. They've done the streaming. They've done the VR headset. They've put their games on PC. So Sony has made the shift and change, and now they're doing the live service games and whatnot. Travis says, all good. It's funny to me that evidently we sound so similar. It thinks you're me. No, the computer doesn't care if it's you or not. It's just my son, who sounds nothing like me, can turn on the systems. Now you're trying to make me buy PlayStation Plus. I mean, I don't know why you wouldn't. Seems like a good deal with all the games and stuff over there, especially for yourself. For a person that buys a lot of used games, right? Or games that are not brand new when they come out. I mean, I don't know the catalog. I don't have a PlayStation that I play constantly to know what's on PlayStation Plus, because I don't own a PlayStation Plus. I don't pay for PlayStation Plus. I own a PlayStation. I don't pay for multiple streaming services, right? I don't own Peacock and all them. We have Disney Plus and we have Netflix. Disney Plus is for the kid. Netflix was for me. All the other systems I do not have, for streaming services. I play games. I'm not going to pay PlayStation Plus and Xbox Game Pass. If I start playing more games on PlayStation, then I'll pay for that. So this is interesting, right? This is interesting about the Samsung. So I went to Costco yesterday, and in Costco, there's a big display of Starfield off the side of the box, right? And those people that were just talking last week that Starfield is not being advertised, and they haven't advertised anything yet. And if you watched me on Friday with Lono, I said that the advertisement's going to start kicking off now, right? It could be 3 weeks, 4 weeks in front of the game. And on Monday, basically, people started seeing ads, or this weekend, they started seeing ads for Starfield. So now there's a big display at Costco. I haven't been to Target or anything like that, but off the side of the box, it shows Starfield. It says Game Pass Starfield. Okay. And here it is. Starfield, Game Pass, right? This is a Samsung ad. Okay. Stand for Starfield on Samsung TV. No console required. Play hundreds of high quality games with Game Pass, right? This is advertising Starfield, but this is a Game Pass. This is a 3-in-1 shot here. This is an advertisement for Samsung. This is an advertisement for Starfield, and this is an advertisement for Game Pass. But it really is about Game Pass. Okay? It's an advertisement for Game Pass. And this is what they're going for. It doesn't matter if Starfield is good or bad. Game Pass is good. Okay? Samsung, doesn't matter if Starfield is good or bad. You can play Game Pass on your Samsung TV. Okay? I would like to know if any of you guys have a Samsung TV, if you have tried this and how well does it work, right? How well does it work? I would love to you guys let me know. We don't have a Samsung TV. I have Samsung screens for my computer, but I don't have a Samsung TV. Out of my price range right now. But yeah, my point is that Xbox is not advertising Starfield because there might be people out there that like fighting games or like RPGs or like MMOs or like open world games or like whatever, right? And all of those things are on Game Pass. A niche community is going to like Starfield, space in general, right? Now, I do think it's going to sell like 3 to 5 million copies, which is going to be amazing considering that overall, okay, and that's, I want to say about 2 million on console. Now, you know what? I'll say 2 million on console and 2 million. It'll be about yeah, it'll sell 5. It'll be like 2.5 to 2 for each PC and Xbox. And I think millions and millions of people are going to play this game or try it, at least when it comes out. I think 15 million, 20 million, 25 million between people buying it and people trying it out on Game Pass. It's gonna be very interesting to see what happens with this game. Now, that doesn't mean the game is gonna be awesome or grand or whatever. It just means a lot of people are gonna try it because they can, because it's like a very low, it's a very low entry fee to get in. I have a Samsung TV, but never tried it. You have a Samsung TV, boss? I thought for sure you would have a Sony television. I was just asking. I don't know if you heard. I was like, if you have a Sony TV, can you play? But Stealth already answered the question that you cannot. You cannot. So I'm assuming Stealth has a Sony television. Oh, it's a model because you have one, but it doesn't have. It's not a new one, so you don't have the play thing. Or even playable. I have a Sony too. Oh, okay. All right. Because I would be interested to know how good the quality is. Because I've played. Now, obviously, I'm in my house, or when I'm at my mom's house on vacation, I'll play on my iPad, right, through the cloud gaming, and very little can I tell the difference. Now, if I'm playing a PvP game like a Battlefield or something like that, you can tell there's latency. Right? But if I'm playing a single-player game, it really can't tell, right? I mean, you can, but it's not a big deal. I wonder how it's going to be on the television. I would assume okay, because you're probably directly putting it in, or you have your Wi-Fi, but it's in your house. I'm playing in the car. I'm playing from like 400 miles away. Play it anywhere except on Xbox, right? Right. You can play it anywhere. That's the whole thing, right? A lot of people just think that Xbox is the well, they're not selling Xboxes, so nobody can play. 15 million people that don't own an Xbox are paying for the Xbox, or I'm sorry, the Game Pass, the Game Pass Ultimate on PC. That's 15 million people. Think about this for a second. Okay. That's potentially 15 million more people on top of the Xbox sales that they've already sold, right? I don't know what is Xbox. Let's see how many. What have they sold so far? Do we have an answer? How many Xbox Series systems sold? Okay, 21 million Xboxes, right? 21 million Xboxes. This is a snapshot from presentation to reveal the over 21 million Xbox X and X Series consoles have been sold, which results in over 79 million combined sales of Xbox One, Series X, and Series S. All right, so let's take away the one, right? Just the Series X and Series S is 21 million. Potentially, you're adding an additional 15, which is 36 million, okay? That closes the number pretty damn close, right? Pretty damn close, where Sony just passed 40 million. Now, if all the PlayStation people, or I keep saying PlayStation, if all the PC people that play Game Pass actually had to go out and buy, I mean, obviously they're not all going to go out and buy it, but my point is that they're playing Xbox games on their PC, right? And Xbox is okay with it. But if those people wanted to play those games from Xbox, they would have to go buy an Xbox. That's 15 million more people they haven't made $300 or $400 or $500 off of, right? And that would make 36 million units out there for them. Instead, Microsoft was like, yeah, we're good. Just pay $16 a month. $16 a month. Yes, but those 15 million people, 0 want to play Starfield unless they're baked. I love the what you say, Travis. It's like, basically, I could just eliminate everything you say because it means nothing. Microsoft, unfortunately, for a long run, hit out of the park in Game Pass, but the quality of games, something to be desired. I think that's. I'm trying to think of games just in general. Are there more first-party games that are under quality or third-party games that are under quality? Right? Because under the regime of Microsoft, Bethesda hasn't made a game yet that they started from scratch. Redfall was already in development before Microsoft bought them, right? Fallout 76 was already made before they bought them. Even Starfield was in production and 6 years before they bought them. So none of those games are under the Microsoft heads or anything. They just bought them and now they're Microsoft, right? So of the ones that were screwed, like just screwed majorly, was Halo Infinite, right? That's one. But they've always had a problem 343. Right? What was another game that came out first party that was a Microsoft owned game that was like a real big shakeup in the industry? Boss says they save money just to scrap the Xbox altogether at this point. Just sell a Game Pass loader, like some small device, just a Game Pass, just like a live off the Game Pass thing, 100%. Boss, it's like you finally listened to me. It's like all the times that I said over the years, because you've been here for like 3 years, okay? It finally sunk in, right? The Keystone, that little box, we know the name of it now, is that thing they're trying to push. They just can't get the price low enough. Water says, I hope Starfield is good, not just for Microsoft, but for gaming in general. Look at what Baldur's Gate did for the gaming industry. Jesse Max says both first-party titles and third-party titles. Right. And I don't know why people are giving more Microsoft crap, because more third-party games came out that were broke, buggy, unfinished than first-party titles. Sarge says, do you guys remember that Game Pass was a solution made from a problem they created? That's right. If it was me, Boss says, the head of Microsoft, I scrapped the X for sure altogether. That probably cost a pretty penny to make those. The focus is on Game Pass. There's no need to put that much money into Game Pass Portal. No, but there's always going to be a market for people to own consoles and people to buy the discs, even though the discs don't do anything, right? There's still a market for vinyl records. People still make record players. Not a big market, but the market's still there. So I think it's smart not to just get rid of it, right? I just don't think they make a lot more production of the X's, right? I think they push more S's out, which they are. We know the Series S with more storage is coming out. Okay. We know that there's another box that they're working on, which is a smaller box, which is just a streaming. We just did a story about the PlayStation streaming. Xbox has already been doing streaming for years. That's the MO for them right there. Crackdown 3. Sure. Crackdown 3 was one. It's a good one, Titan. Travis says, I can guarantee I won't be as good as Baldur's Gate. Lauren cares about their games, but Bethesda, not so much. I don't know if that's true about they don't care about their games. I think they're very different games, right? Every time someone talks shit about Starfield and Bethesda, I like to remind you that Morrowind, Oblivion, Skyrim, Fallout 3, Fallout 4, multiple games were nominated for Game of the Year, right? The only tarnish that they're really known for is Fallout 76, which is just silly to me. Yes, but that's because there was 2 first-party games for Xbox versus 500 third kind of screw ratio. No. My thing is that you're looking at it as Microsoft, everything they touch is shit, which is just not, because for every game that they had that was first-party title that was bad, you have to look at the good as well. Hi-Fi Rush came out, it was good, so that cancels out the bad, right? So what other games, if Microsoft's coming out with all these shit games all the time, right, the quality of the games that they've come out with, what games of the quality that Microsoft has made first party, right? You guys brought it up. I didn't bring it up. You're saying that they made crap games, and I'm asking you, show me all the games they've created that are just tons and tons more than anybody else in EA, Activision, Blizzard, or any other Square Enix game or Ubisoft game, right? Yeah, the S is where it's at for them as far as consoles, right? But they don't care, right? I don't know if you were here yesterday, boss. I had a conversation on a podcast on Friday talking about how Xbox doesn't care about just the one system; they care about a whole bunch of stuff. Hence why they bought, Blizzard, Activision Blizzard for mobile, right? We went over yesterday that Call of Duty Mobile has 57 million users, right? 57 million users. That's 57 million users that didn't purchase an Xbox, potentially, let's just say, right? That's 57 million users that are paying money that when Xbox owns them, they're making money off of them. There's 21 million people playing Diablo Immortal, right? 700,000, almost 800,000 people play it daily over on mobile, right? That's 800,000 people that are not playing on the console for Xbox or PC. They're literally just playing on the mobile phone, right? So they got their hands in all of these different avenues. They don't care if they make 100 million Game Pass users. I mean, they do. But what I'm saying is they don't care about this is the one-all be-all. They have the 25 million Game Pass users. They have the 57 million Call of Duty mobile users. They have the 21 million Diablo Immortal users. Water says this year may come down to Spider-Man 2 and Baldur's Gate 3 for Game of the Year so far. Oh, and Zelda. Water, I don't know if you took the poll. We have a poll going on right now in our Discord. That right now we have a poll going on, and right now it looks like Hogwarts Legacy's. These are for nominations. Who we think as a community is going to get the nominations for top 6 games, right? So right now we have Hogwarts Legacy is at 14 votes. We have Legend of Zelda at 11 votes. We have Starfield at 10 votes. We have Spider-Man 2 at 9 votes. We have Baldur's Gate 3 with 8 votes. Is there another one? Let's see. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, and then B and D are tied. So Starfield or Star Wars Jedi Survivor and Final Fantasy 16. So far, those are the 6 games that our community thinks are going to be the nominations as of right now. Bethesda has become a cash cow company again. It makes a lot of money regardless. So why try to get better if they can stay sane and still make money? Sure, but you can't say that Skyrim's not a good game though. You can't say that Fallout 3 is not a good game. I mean, you can. That's your right to say it. But the majority of the population says otherwise. 13 million copies for Fallout 3, 13 or 12 million for copies for Fallout. Reverse that. 12.5 for 3. I think it's like 13 or 14 million copies for Fallout 4, right? Skyrim's got like 50 million units, right? So regardless if they're a cash cow or not, they still make good games. The only game that's a tarnish on their record is Fallout 76, which in the 4 years' time is a much better experience now. Xbox hardware is needed to compete with Sony. Can't let Sony run away with it. They literally just want to stay in the relevant. They don't care they're third place. They don't care about the hardware. That's facts, Titan, because Phil Spencer said we don't care about hardware. They're not changing their stance. They're like, yeah, we're good. That's my point. They aren't making games at all, but yeah, you can't be bad if you don't make them. What do you mean they're not making them? Their games that they've created take 5 to 7 years to make. Okay, let me put it in a movie production way, right? Steven Spielberg has hundreds of films. Tarantino has 8. Okay, it doesn't matter the cadence that you make your movies, as long as the ones that you make are great, right? Tarantino has such a small portion of films compared to other directors. Does that make him a bad director? Oh, thank you, Stealth. Right, don't forget Candy Crush. Right, 155 million users or whatever the hell it is. What does Candy Crush bring in? How many users play Candy Crush? Woo! We're talking about Minecraft numbers here. Okay, 255 million users play Candy Crush. And everyone wants to talk about, well, they only have 25 million Game Pass users. Oh my god. Oh my god. Candy Crush, 255 million units. High Life, now on PlayStation. Yeah. High Life is okay. It's not great. I enjoyed it, but I mean, it was good. It wasn't broke. It wasn't a bad game. It's a good game. And it's not a first-party title. They just had an exclusive with it. Hogwarts surprised a lot of people, but I don't think it'll get due to politics. I don't know if the politics will come into play. I don't. I think if it's a good game, it's what I want to believe. I don't think it'll win, but it'll definitely get nominated. You don't think it'll get nominated, Water? Come on, Makoki. How you like it, Baldur's Gate 3? Sorry, I missed the combo already. I am liking it. I'm struggling right now. I played last night. I haven't uploaded it or anything like that. It got broken up, so I have to like piece it together in the edit because my game not the game crashed, but my software crashed when I was recording. But I'm struggling big time in Baldur's Gate right now. Right, I'm struggling big time in Baldur's Gate. So every time I go into combat, I'm just getting my ass handed to me. Right, I'm just getting destroyed, and I don't understand the combat yet. So it's a little frustrating, but I'm enjoying Baldur's Gate 3 a lot. I really like the story. I like the world building that's going on as I'm going around. I really, really like the game, but I'm sucking personally at the combat system. And it's not about the turn-based thing. It's just about me not knowing what does more damage or how to buff my character to do certain things. So Travis says, actually recently replayed Skyrim. It's good. Generic game. Good generic game. Boy. Who made Baldur's Gate 3? Lorraine Studios. $100 billion a month. Right. Yeah, Candy Crush. Think about that, right? Once the deal goes through, 255 million Candy Crush users. Okay. And that is, how much does Candy Crush make? Let me see. What does Crush? It only makes $633,000 a day. Only makes $633,000 a day, Candy Crush. It makes $1.21 billion. Candy Crush makes in 2021, Candy Crush reportedly had $1.21 billion in revenue. Okay. Obviously, that's 2021. I don't know what it makes now, but that might be a little lower or whatever. Call of Duty mobile. Let's see. Call of Duty mobile revenue worldwide from 2019 to 2023. The title generated approximately 32.68 million US dollars. Cumulative app grossed amount over to over 1.27 billion US dollars since release, as of 6 days ago. It's made 1.27 billion dollars since its launch. What is this? Call of Duty mobile maker made $10 billion last year, becomes world's largest mobile game developer. Good for them. Yeah. $10 billion in 2020. Yeah, bro. They never played before. It's a learning curve for newbies for sure. For Baldur's Gate? Yeah. Salty says, I can't sit back and say it looks gorgeous. And in the words of Todd Howard, it just works, but Baldur's Gate 3 is not for me. Oh, for sure. But you could say that with any game, Salty, right? Any game. Someone can look at Diablo 4 and be like, looks great, just not a game for me, right? And then there's other games that it looks shitty, but it's not a game for me. That's the point of video games, though, right? There's games out there that appeal to you, and there's other games that don't appeal. I'm interested in Baldur's Gate. I've never played Baldur's Gate, right? Never played it. I'm playing it. I like the story. I like story in game, and Baldur's Gate definitely has story, right? I mean, there was, I don't want to say what happened, but there were certain things that happened. I was just like, oh my God. I was like, I thought it was cool. I thought it was cool. I still think it is cool. Travis, everything with you is generic, is boring. I don't even know what you like I don't know what you like, right? I don't know what you like because games, I think you're a person that any game that's popular, you don't like. That's what it is. I think you're a person that just pushes back to whatever the majority likes. You're like, I don't like it's generic, which is fine. That's being a hipster, basically, right? You're being a hipster. Like, God, man, I'm too cool to drink that coffee. I'm going to drink this coffee because less people like this coffee. Right? Every game that's popular. It just came to me. Every single game that's been a success, that's in the major media, that is very popular, you are always saying that the story is generic. I don't know what to say. Last of Us 2, game of the year. You said bad story, generic. Halo, which changed the landscape of video games. You're like, it's generic, right? Yeah, it's hard, boss. It's hard. I'm playing on the I don't know if it's the easiest difficulty. I'm playing on the story difficulty, and I went into a cave last night, and there was this spider boss or whatever, and I got fucking obliterated, and I was just like, okay. I couldn't run. I couldn't heal myself fast enough. They were doing way more damage. I was like, I don't even know if I'm supposed to be here. I mean, there have been several games that were popular, like Ghost of Tsushima, Spider-Man, Borderlands, Red Dead. Sure, but a lot of the games that beat the games that you like, right? Ghost of Tsushima got beat by Last of Us. You're like, no way, it got beat by that, right? Right? Spider-Man lost to something else. You're like, there's no way it could beat that, right? Like right now, you think Spider-Man is the best game. It's not even out yet. Other games are out, and if that game beats your Spider-Man, you're gonna be like, those games are generic and boring. Elden Ring one, generic. Go on, Kyla. Well, let's see. Did I didn't know you back in those days. So let's see. Did Borderlands win Game of the Year? What year did it come out? 2012, 2009. Let's see. Let's see. What was the nominations? It was different back then, so we didn't have a video game award show. So yeah, you have to look at. – 2009, Uncharted 2 won that year. So did you like Uncharted 2, or Or was that a generic story? Because it beat Borderlands. I mean, we know Red Dead won, so I think Uncharted stories are great. I love Uncharted. I wish they made an Indiana Jones game like Uncharted. When I see something generic, I call it generic. Also not true. If Hogwarts beats Spider-Man 2, I'll cheer it. Well, God forbid, I hope Zelda wins just so I can hear you not complain for that one thing. What's the topic right now? We're talking about, we're talking, you know, I don't even know what we're talking about anymore. We were talking about Sony making, we were talking about Starfield and the sales and stuff because the advertisement that they're showing right now, they were talking about, we started going down the rabbit hole a little bit, Titan, because the advertisement they're using for Xbox is that they're using Game Pass, right? Samsung promoting their television sets, saying that their Starfield on Game Pass through their television. I went to Costco. They have a big thing. Starfield's on the side of Xbox. It's no longer like Master Chief. It's the franchise of Starfield, but it's on Game Pass. Like Game Pass is the thing. And then we started talking down the rabbit hole that their games are shit. Game Pass or Xbox makes bad games, and then everything that Microsoft touches. And then I started bringing up points that all the games that were in production before Microsoft bought them is not part of Microsoft because they didn't make it. So there's been no games that Microsoft has like they bought Bethesda, but the games that came out for Bethesda, like Redfall, is not Microsoft's problem. And what happens to Starfield is also not Microsoft's problem. They bought them 6 years in development. You know what I mean? So it's not like their own games. That's the rabbit hole we went down. And then we started going against Travis because Travis calls everything generic. The only game I'll complain is against the game of the year is Starfield. Redfield, and I'll forget the name, run through eventually. We said that. We said that Crackdown 3 was a bad game when it came out years ago, and Halo Infinite was bad with 343. But 343 has been bad with Halo since Bungie left, right? But that's like one game of like hundreds of games that come out, right? Even if it's like 5 games that were bad over the years, right? More games came out better than they weren't. I don't know if it died at 3. I would say, well, what came first? Was it ODST or 3? Or Reach? I would say after Reach, I think, is when it went down. I usually wait towards the end of the year to make up my mind of best games, but right now, Final Fantasy 16 and Diablo, so waiting on for Spidey does. Yeah, right now in our poll, right now, if you guys want to be a part of the poll, just it's open to everybody, so you don't have to be a part of our community like as a member. It's open up to the general. So if you go to our Discord, you can go to the poll and you vote 6. You vote on 6 of the 16 games that you think are going to be the nominees, right? That's what it is. Just the nominees. It's not who you think is going to win. It's just the nominations for the Video Game Awards show. What 6 games do you think will be the nominations for this year's Game of the Year? Right now, Hogwarts is in the lead. Then second right now is Legends of Zelda and also Starfield. Starfield and Legends of Zelda are both at 11. Hogwarts is at 14. And then we have Spider-Man 2 at 10. Yeah, I don't think Diablo is going to get the nomination. There's just so many. There's just so many games, right? I don't think Diablo makes the nomination. If we break it down, right? Hogwarts, I think is in. It should be in, right? Zelda's in. Baldur's Gate 3's in. Starfield probably will make it, right? There's only 2 spots left, right? I can't see Diablo beating Spider-Man 2, right? I can't. So that's 5 of the 6, and there's 1 spot left. Does that go to Armored Core? Does that go to Final Fantasy 16? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I don't think Diablo makes it. Baldur's Gate bumped Diablo out. I can see that, Kylo. Street Fighter could get in. Fighting game, something. I think Street Fighter will win fighting game of the year for sure, boss. I don't know if it'll make game of the year. And if it makes game of the year, if Street Fighter gets in, it's kicking a big game out, right? There's definitely 6 big games. It's going to be hard to see what the nominations are. I'll say, to me, Microsoft's best franchise were Gears and Fable. Gears has been killed into the ground. The last one was pretty good. And Honest Walkable looks like it'll be a franchise for good. Assassin's Creed 6. I don't think Jedi Survivor is going to make it. I think Jedi Survivor misses the cut. All right, Mortal Kombat. I have it in here. I totally forgot, though. Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter. That's going to be tough for winning just best fighting game. That's going to be I mean, both of those will be nominated for fighting games. But, man, that's going to be tough. Oh, Armored Core, not Assassin's Creed. I don't know, man. FromSoft gets a lot of nominations and stuff. The industry likes them. I'll be honest, I don't think in 2018, I don't think Fallen Order got nominated. Yeah, no, it didn't make it. Because that year you had Assassin's Creed Odyssey, you had Spider-Man, you had Red Dead Redemption 2, Monster Hunter World, God of War, and the Celestian. Okay? It didn't make the cut. And now the year it comes out, it's going up against another Spider-Man game. Right? It's going up against another Spider-Man game. What won that year? It was God of War, right? Yeah, game of the year was God of War. Will WrestleQuest be in for best fighting game or best, like, it would be in for best indie game, right? I don't know. Water says, I know what will win fighting game of the year when it drops. Dragon Ball Z fighting game of the year, period. Nothing is going to top that in terms of fighting. Is that coming out this year? Water? Best indie RPG? I don't know if it's... I don't think it is. Let me see. You got game of the year, independent game, sports racing game, mobile game, player's voice, role-playing game. You got role-playing game, anticipated game, multiplayer game, narrative, esports game, art direction, fighting game, best adaptation, ongoing game, and then the rest of them, you got action game, esports player, family game, game for impact, action adventure, audio design, performance, or soundtrack, strategy game, debut indie game, perhaps trending game. Yeah, I don't see any. Like, what the hell happened? I used to think Xbox franchise were awesome and loved my 360. Well, 360 was probably their best system. They came out and did exactly what PlayStation did. They bought exclusives and stuff and put it on their system. It was the best competitive. It was the best competitive year or console that they had. I think it was like super close for sales, right? The 360 came out the same time as the PlayStation 3. Is that correct? $2005. That's 2006. PlayStation 3 came out in 2006, right? So PlayStation 3 total sales 87.4, right? Xbox 360 85.73. That is the closest those two have ever been in console sales. And that's the year that Xbox paid for exclusives and stuff. That is when it was competitive. The only reason PlayStation, I mean, they still won, but they kind of lost in the public eye, is because they charged way too much for the PlayStation 3. But they would get the sales. More people were buying the PlayStation 3 for a Blu-ray player than they were for the actual gaming system. Because the Blu-ray player was like $200 cheaper. But now they're not even competing, right? They're not even competing in the same market, right? PlayStation is only looking at that. They're looking at just the console sales, and Xbox is like, we're done with the console sales. We're making Game Pass sales. We're making mobile sales. We're making, like, they have their hands in all these different areas. I still have my Halo 4 Edition 360 hooked up to my TV. I mean, I have the 360 right next to me right here because we've been playing Transformers War of Cybertron, right? It's a good system, right? It's a good system. The only reason I got rid of my PlayStation 3 is when I got a PlayStation 4. It was like backwards compatibility and whatnot, but I was just like, I didn't have that many games for PlayStation 3. We got it as a wedding gift. People bought it for us for a wedding present for a Blu-ray player. I asked for a Blu-ray player, not a Sony PlayStation. And during our wedding, we got a PlayStation because a Blu-ray player was more expensive back in 2010 than a PlayStation. Microsoft's got their fingers in all the pies. Yeah, when you have a franchise, one game on mobile device is pulling in $1 billion a year with Candy Crush. Another game of Call of Duty on mobile is pulling in $1 billion on mobile devices. If Diablo Immortal is pulling in almost, a couple $100 million off of mobile device, that's not AAA games. That's mobile gaming. That's not including all the World of Warcraft that they're making money off of that, even though it's its low period. Right? They have their hands, once that Activision deal goes through, they're going to be making a lot more money than Sony is making, and that's off 3 titles. Off 3 titles, mobile titles. Right? They're not playing the same thing. Congratulations, Sony. You won the consoles. But but they're not playing the same thing. So anyone that's like, "Oh, well, I have a better system," you just have a system. Right? This is why I don't have a side. I like all games everywhere. I'm just trying to make it clear that Microsoft is not worried about console sales. So PlayStation could sell 200 million units. Congratulations. And Xbox could only sell 50 million Game Pass users. Okay? They're making $400 million a month off Game Pass. They're making $1 billion off Call of Duty Mobile once the deal goes through. Quintar says that's the same reason I got a PlayStation. Well, for the Blu-ray player. Yeah. Yeah, it was the cheapest Blu-ray player out there, which is insane. Water says, not gonna lie, War of Cybertron definitely has my hopes pretty high for reactive. Water, I'm so excited. I know I'm making it unfair for myself. I'm playing the Transformers game, and I'm just hoping that it's anything like this, but in a open world environment type thing where I get to level up all these different Transformers. I'm super stoked about it. Oh yeah, loading times. When I go back to Xbox, the 360, I was just like, man, this takes a long time. Nothing beats the days, and just recently, Marvel's Avengers, when it came out on the Xbox One, and then we got it over on the Xbox Series X. Like, man, those load times in those elevators were unbearable. Did you see the new trailer for Modern Warfare 3? It's clearly at the end says, yep, Microsoft bought us, and we don't have to give any semi-better, and we get worse. Can get worse. People will buy us. See, that's the mentality I don't understand, though. Activision already had that in development. How does Microsoft buying it now make Call of Duty all of a sudden shittier? I don't understand. It makes no sense. That is literally just a hate train, just to hate. Right? If you didn't like Activision before Microsoft, right? Like, I don't understand how they're, oh, Call of Duty, best game ever. Microsoft bought them. Oh, shit company. It's like, what? Makes no sense. I haven't played since Modern 2009. I don't think it's because of Microsoft, because they just bought them. I haven't played a Call of Duty in 12 years because Microsoft bought them today. They've went downhill since Microsoft bought them. Oh, Activision went downhill back in 2009, 10. Modern Warfare 2 is the last one I bought, which is when? Yeah, 2009. That's the last one I bought. Oh, for sure, Water. Water says, whenever you hear Optimus Prime, Starscream, Megatron, it's like your hands stand up on the back of your neck a little. I love it, man. Like, just a massive, we played last night, and we were playing Omega Supreme, like the boss battle, and I was like, dude, this is cool. I want something like this. Salty says, fuck Microsoft. All I'm saying, Salty, is for someone to say that the game is fine, but then Microsoft buys them and now the game's bad, they haven't even touched them yet. A lot of people show their true colors when something's not even... It's a lose-lose situation, right? And it's on both sides. Xbox fans that talk shit about Sony and Sony fans that talk shit about Xbox, right? If a company is hands off. They're like, well, the game would have been better if they did something, but Microsoft doesn't care. And then if Microsoft touches the company, they're like, well, the game would have made it, but Microsoft put their grubby hands on it, and now the game is shit. And it's like, which one is it? Is it because they touched it or because they didn't touch it? Which one is it? Both. And that just proves that the people that are shills for the other company, and it's for both sides. Xbox people say the same shit about PlayStation games. It's both. It's good, both. That makes no sense. To say both makes no sense. I take my kid to school in a car, right? He's like, oh, it's your fault I got there early. Okay? I walk my kid to school. It's your fault because you got me there late. Which one is it then? Apparently it's just my fault, right? Keep it bad. It's been bad for 10 years. That's what I'm saying, Kylo. Like, to me, Call of Duty, doesn't matter if Microsoft owns them. To me, Call of Duty has been bad for over a decade. It's been unmotivated, same shit regurgitated over and over, and people love it because of the graphics. They're like, oh, it's Call of Duty. Right now, people like Call of Duty just because it's Call of Duty. Their standards drop dramatically. People's standards of video games just drop dramatically, right? And then, and this is on gamer side and now developer side, right? We saw the article about you can't expect us to all be like Baldur's Gate 3. Yes, we can, because you all are making games and raising the bar. And when someone raises the bar, if you don't hit that bar, we can look at you and go, well, it should have done what this game did. This game's better. The last Call of Duty campaign was really good. The multiplayer didn't touch. I can't fathom paying $70, Water, for a campaign as short as Call of Duty is. I can't. I have a guy at work. Salty says, I have a guy at work who has a PlayStation 5. He only plays FIFA. Oh, Lord. Oh, Lord. Talking about doing gaming wrong. Please tell me... Please tell me he bought FIFA and doesn't pay a monthly subscription to play it off EA Play. Can you imagine? I only play FIFA. I pay $15 a month to play it. Like, what? What's wrong with? Go buy the game. He's an Ultimate Team guy every year. It's just weird. See, that to me is weird. I love the passion, right? I wish I could love something that much. That's like eating cereal every day of your life. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Just play FIFA. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner. That's all I do. Only playing PvP with COD hasn't been good for a very long time. The fact that the skill-based matchmaking for public lobbies is insane. They want to spend my day. I'll play ranked. Exactly. Mass Effect 4 devs need to look at Baldur's Gate 3. All RPGs looking forward need to look at what Baldur's... Now, I'm not saying they have to do everything Baldur's Gate 3 did, right? Obviously, there's different companies, different scale and sizes. I'm just saying, Lorien Studios is like, what? A couple 400 people? And what they did to that game compared to other RPG games that have like thousands of people says a lot about the industry, doesn't it? Which me and Sarge talk about all the time. If you're passionate about your project and you want your project to be good, you'll put your time in and good. You won't complain about we couldn't make it. We couldn't do it on time. We're doing this. The only reason Baldur's Gate 3 is not coming out is because the S for split screen, right? We read an article yesterday about that. Okay. It's not about that they couldn't get it out. Microsoft says that they want it to come out at the exact same time as Xbox. Otherwise, Baldur's Gate 3 would be out. I know it's weird, but those people exist. Oh, I get it. There's a million people on PlayStation that only play Call of Duty. That's insane. Right, Kylo. I didn't even think about that. The game is absolutely free. You paid $500 to play a free-to-play game. My brain's hemorrhaging right now. Like, that's like, get this, Travis, right? Or Kylo. That's like owning an arcade cabinet, right? Putting an arcade cabinet in your house. You pay $500, $700, $1,000, like a real arcade game. And yet you don't put it on free play. You keep putting quarters into it. It's like, what? What? Because it's only one game. Like an old console, an old cabinet is just one game. It's like Pac-Man, right? You buy the cabinet and you're like, oh yeah, I'm just playing Pac-Man because that's what it is, right? But you decide not to put it on a free play. You just keep putting quarters in. That you're playing Call of Duty, and it's a free-to-play game, but you bought a $500 system just to play it. We can see your eye twitching. No, seriously, my brain hemorrhaged there for a second, Travis. People will sit there and only play free-to-play Battle Royales, Warzone, Fortnite, Apex Legends. That's insane. Yeah. All right, we're gonna switch topics here because we just talked about this the other day. Let me see if this is the right article. Is this the right one? Is it this one? Or is it this one? I think it's this one. Okay. Emotional damage. Okay. So we just talked about Ahsoka series. I think it was yesterday, or if it was last week. I forget. We always talk about Star Wars here. Okay. For years, I've been saying that this is before we knew Ahsoka's show was happening, right? This is before we saw Ahsoka inside the Mando Season 2. I reviewed the movies on my other channel, on my original channel, and then I moved it over to Nerding with 30, and now I don't do them anymore because I'm just emotional damage for Star Wars. I said that Ahsoka will be the last show when it comes out, if they make a show of Ahsoka, and we found out that they're going to continue basically the Rebels storyline, if you guys watched Rebels. And I said that they're going to try to reboot or change the history, the course of history inside of Star Wars. And I said that Ahsoka will use the veil to change the course of things. Now, this per se is not saying directly that this is going to happen, but it's potentially going to happen. So, Ahsoka rumored to feature a duel between Anakin Skywalker and Obi-Wan Kenobi on Mustafar. Now, I've said for a while now, I said that Ahsoka would go back into time and place herself in those fight scenes. So instead of Obi-Wan, it would be Ahsoka, or it would change the history, and then it would change the course of what we know Star Wars is, because there would be like a multiverse, a universe type of thing, right? Maybe they'll surprise us and don't change anything. Maybe. Okay. Now, the upcoming Ahsoka series promises to return to the galaxy far, far away, led by Rosario Dawson as the fan-favorite character Ahsoka Tano, which I like her casting. I like the character Ahsoka Tano. The series picks up after the events of a local conflict. Ahsoka embarks on the quest to track down General Thrawn and rescue the missing Ezra Bridger, two characters whose fates have been remained uncertain since the conclusion of Star Wars Rebels' 5th season. Now, alongside the narrative, the series is rumored to feature a battle scene set on a inferior planet of Mustafar. Okay? Now, where Anakin Skywalker, portrayed once again by Hayden Christensen, confronts his former master Obi-Wan Kenobi during an events of Star Wars Episode 3 Revenge of the Sith. Now, insiders, take this with a grain of salt, insiders report that making of StarWars.net via Bespin Bulletin hint at the complexity of the Mustafar encounter. Ahsoka is said to witness herself intervening in the duel between Anakin Skywalker and Obi-Wan Kenobi. The outcome of this confrontation reportedly offers two possibilities. I'm getting choked up. One, where Anakin deals the fatal blow to Kenobi during the battle, and another where Kenobi transcends and becomes one with the Force, the source revealed. If this is true, right? If this is true, this changes the entire landscape of what the original trilogy is. Okay? Let's just take this before I continue reading, because I haven't read the article. This is my first time reading the article. I saw the title, and I was like, oh boy. Okay. So let's say he deals the fatal blow to Kenobi during the battle, and Kenobi's dead. Well, if Kenobi's dead, then what happens to Luke Skywalker? What happens to Padme? What happens to Luke Skywalker and Leia Skywalker, right? What happens to them? Because they would never get passed along. Luke would never show up on Tatooine. What happens? Okay. And if Kenobi then transcends and becomes the Force, one with the Force, then that means Ahsoka would have to transform the kids to one to the other. So she could then take Luke and go into hiding to somewhere completely different. That means Ahsoka protects Luke and not Obi-Wan. Okay? Or she takes Leia and then protects Leia. Or vice versa or something. Something majorly gets fucked up. Okay? Now, quote, they filmed a sequence where Ahsoka sees herself on Mustafar fighting Hayden Christensen as Darth Vader before he's in the suit. They are new scenes. They had a dummy for they had a dummy for dead Kenobi, and they had clothes for the dead Kenobi. They had two ideas there. One is Anakin literally kills Kenobi in the fight, where the idea would be Ahsoka and Kenobi confront Darth Vader. Another, he turns into a pile of clothes, just like he always did, and becomes one with the Force at the time of the narrative. Okay. Now, let's just say, before I continue reading, let's just say that this happens and the series happens and maybe they go through and maybe it's just a dream. Maybe it's just a thing, but then she backs out and nothing happens. But the fact that they're dabbling with this, the fact that they're doing this has major repercussions, I should say, for the story of Star Wars in general, right? You act like they want to make it make sense now in the hands of Disney. I act like they want to make it sense. What I've been saying, Salty, and I know you haven't been here for the years that I've been talking about this, is that I know they're trying to wreck it. Right? I know that they want to wreck it. Water says maybe Luke is found by his father instead of trained in the way of the Sith. That would be dope. Stop it, Water. It wouldn't be dope. This changes the whole course of 4, 5, and 6. If the Veiled it does this. Now, if it's a what if or whatnot, right? 4, 5, and 6, 1, 2, and 3 is a complete story. Now they're starting to dabble into stuff, right? Now they're trying to potentially wreck it. Okay. So everything we know about Ahsoka is set to kick off with 2 episodes event, while the total runtime in the episodes has been reported to be 1 hour and 36 minutes and 36 seconds. The specific duration of each individual episode remains shrouded by mystery, and the trailer offered a glimpse into the characters what we featured, such as Hera, also portrayed by Mary Elizabeth Winston, Mon Mothma, played by, it doesn't matter who they're played by. Nevertheless, the biggest revelation came with the return of Thrawn, a beloved character that extended. They might just ruin Thrawn as well. Okay. I'm a little worried now because now it's getting real close to coming out, and my predictions that I said in videos that I did over 2 years ago, 3 years ago, are now coming to fruition in a leak. okay, with the fight scene. Now that's just one scene, right? We do know the veil in Rebels that Ezra pulled. It already fucked up stuff, right? But it was okay they did it with Ahsoka because Ahsoka wasn't in the original trilogy. She wasn't in 1, 2, and 3. She didn't exist except for the Clone Wars animated series. So when Ezra in the Rebel series, okay, takes Ahsoka and pulls her through the veil to make her live because Darth Vader she dies. She's dead in this fight against Anakin Skywalker or Darth Vader in this Sith temple, okay? Ezra sees her and then pulls her out, and then she lives, and then she goes on, and now she creates the Rebel Alliance, right? She is Fulcrum. She is the one that did all the stuff, right? And now they're going back and using Ahsoka again to kind of convert or change everything in the history of Star Wars potentially, right? And this is just like madness because now she's the catalyst of everything, right? I liked Ahsoka because of the character she was in the Clone Wars. She was this like innocent teenage girl that was a snobby little shit. And then she grows up to be a very like different person, an arch, right? An actual arch or arc, I should say, not an arch, but an arc of this character. And it's one of the better written characters of the Star Wars universe, right? That didn't exist in 4, 5, and 6, didn't exist in 1, 2, and 3 in the films, but it existed in the Clone Wars, right? So Anakin's story and Ahsoka's story are really good stories. But now Dave Filoni is taking his character Ahsoka and trying to push it into every outlet possible, right? The Rebels the Rebel Alliance started because of Ahsoka, right? It started because of her, and now technically she can go back through the veil and change the history, and Obi-Wan could die before the actual things that happened in episode 4. Now again, in the series they could do all these things and then by the end they fix it all or something. But then at that point it's like, why even do it in the first place, right? I don't know. Let me see what you guys are saying in chat. Let's see. I think it's just a bad dream. She has Anakin killing Obi-Wan, then she'll wake up. I don't know, Kylo. That's what I wish Luke Skywalker was in episodes 8 when he was having a dream and then woke up and was like, oh my God, it was a bad dream about... Right? But that didn't happen. So, I don't know. Time travel is hard to do. The worst part is it's the veil. It's not like they're going back in time like through a time machine. They're going through this veil, which is like this. Think of like the room of like the time variance in Marvel with Loki, right? They can walk through certain doors and go into other things and change the history without trying to change history. Well, this will be changing history. Her being on Mustafar changes history. She was already kicked out of the Jedi Council when that happened. Right? She doesn't know that Anakin switches over until later in life. Jason says, this sounds terrible. Just let Star Wars die. Luke's Water says, Luke may train in the way of the Sith and his sister in the way of the Jedi. That would slightly be acceptable, but still changing all is insane. Cure the Cantina musicians playing jazzy versions of taps. Oh, I know Star Trek gets it wrong all the time as well. Travis says it's dead. All that's left to go with is a whimper. Oh, you know they don't care about us fans, but I think they do, Salty. I think they care about us and they hate us. That's why they care about us. They hate us. Everything that Star Wars stood for, the story, the characters, the arcs of all the characters, they hate us. And just the idea of putting Obi-Wan getting killed on Mustafar shits on all of us, right? Because even if they do it and then go, aha, we were just joking, they want us to get upset. They want us to be aggravated to talk about shit like this, right? As far as it's concerned, Cal Kessis, this is Star Wars at the moment. They will ruin Thrawn, no question. God, be so bad. We can agree on one thing. At least Rosario Dawson looks good as Ahsoka. all we can do is at this point. At this point, I could just... Here's the way I look at it, Water. If this show does what it's supposed to do and ruins Star Wars, I still have 4, 5, and 6. I still have 1, 2, and 3, right? I still have 4, 5, and 6, right? I can go back and watch these things and still love what Star Wars was, right? And I know that Star Wars is not for me. I don't know who it's for, to be honest with you, right? Because I can't imagine anyone that is a Star Wars fan to watch them brick by brick pull the foundation out and have the Star Wars crumble so they can make something new. They could literally leave it alone. They could leave the Luke Skywalker, Anakin Skywalker. They can leave all the story alone. They don't have to go back to the Veil. This is Ahsoka older. After Obi-Wan's dead, after Luke Skywalker is doing his thing, and we know where he dies now, okay? Unless they do something... Now, here's the double standard I would take, okay? Unless they do something in the series to change episodes 7, 8, and 9 to not make Han Solo a deadbeat dad who dies a villain's death, if they change Luke Skywalker from being a bitter old man, okay, then I would be okay with those changes. Meaning, delete 7, 8, and 9, the consequences you did for the main characters. But I don't think they're doing that. I think they're pressing and pushing even further because we watched the Obi-Wan show, and they literally demoralized Obi-Wan's character, right? They just shit all over Obi-Wan's character. So there's no way in hell they're deleting 7, 8, and 9. They're deleting 4, 5, and 6 is what they're doing. She still didn't start the Rebels. Mon Mothma and Sen Organa still started it. Not true. No, she's Fulcrum. She's the one that started it. She starts the Rebel Alliance. If it wasn't for Ahsoka putting all these people together, they wouldn't have met Akuta Papa. We do know the fact that she has access to the Veil. From what I understand, the way is closed. From where? This is being written now. So from what lore are you getting it from? Because what they showed in Rebels, from Ezra pulling her out and then going back at a later time where the Emperor was lightning them through the thing, right? We go back to the Veil. It's open. Right? It's like a wound open with a guy ready to just stab you to take you out. They could change the whole course of it. I think there's kind of consequences interacting with someone like the Veil, flashes of things. What was the consequences for Ezra pulling Ahsoka out and saving her from Darth Vader? What was the consequences? It doesn't help that Lucas hates us all as well. Why does Lucas hate us, Quintar? Disney doing Obi-Wan dirty, becoming a yearly thing now? Yeah, they're going back for seconds for Obi-Wan. Boss just wants for kick-ass saber fights, which you're gonna get, and you're gonna be like, "That's awesome. I don't care." They will do something much worse, 30. They're going to make them all women. It'll be Leia Skywalker and Han Solo. Look, Travis, I don't know. Did you ever watch Rebels? Travis, did you ever watch Rebels? I have no problem with the women that Sabine, Hera, Ahsoka. I have no problem with any of those characters, right? I thought Rebels was a fantastic show. Right? It has nothing to do with them being women. My argument has nothing to do with the sex of the characters that are going to be in the show. My problem is not with Leia being a girl. My problem is with Leia taking over the Luke Skywalker part. Okay? There's actual talks that they want to make Leia into Luke Skywalker's character. There was actual talks of changing and redoing it where she is Luke Skywalker. Lucas doesn't like the idea that Star Wars was a huge success. He did an interview admitting it to it. I would have to see the context of that, Quintar. If you could find the interview, I would love. We don't have to look at it today, but if you could find the interview that he did, I would like to know the context of him saying that. I'm sure, but I would like to know the context. You saying he said it is fine, but I would like to know the question and him saying the context of it. Lucas doesn't like the idea of Star Wars as a huge success. I see an insider from 2021. Lucas was convinced that Star Wars would flop and refused to believe it was a hit until he got a call telling him to turn on the news. George Lucas was convinced that Star Wars would flop and refused to believe it. It was hit until he got called telling him on the news that Star Wars was a huge hit in its opening weekend. Lucas has admitted that selling Lucasfilm was a painful experience. That's the regret he has for Star Wars. Rebels was good because they made new characters. Changing race and gender is lazy, and how creative dies. Sure, yeah, there was. Well, when I watched Rebels, I don't look at it and go, "Oh, what's the ratio? There's a boy, there's a boy, there's a boy, there's a girl." I don't do that. Lucas sold Star Wars for two reasons: fan base only cares about the vision and not the vision of the creator, and and both love and hate for George, and lots of money. No, he actually sold it because he was getting too old. These are actual words out of his mouth. He actually sold it because when he did sell it, he wanted to raise his children. And he wanted to give it to someone that thought they could do it because they had the money, right? Now obviously, right? He even calls Disney, he sold it to the white slaves, is what he called them. Got to actually watch the interview. He destroyed the original 4, 5, and 6, then created the remaster version. No, what he wanted to make Star Wars originally, the technology wasn't there. So when he goes back and redoes all the stuff, he's the creator. He can do what he wants. We might not like the changes of it, okay? But the remaster versions, technology finally caught up to what he wanted to do, hence why he kept changing them. That's why he kept changing it. That's why he kept recreating remasters of them and changing scenes and doing certain stuff. Why has George Lucas only had success with Star Wars? That's not true. That's not true. He had Indiana Jones as well. But let's see. Let's see. Introvert, struggle with. I don't see any story where the only thing he regrets is selling it. I wish they kept both versions, 4 through 6 on Blu-ray instead of only giving us the update version. Well, if you still have the original, I mean, obviously it'd be hard to watch on Betamax or VHS, but again, that's how he does it. You know, he's the creator of it. I think in reality, he just couldn't handle great success he created. I don't know if that's the case either. You know, the man literally created what we do in the film industry today, right? All the special effects and stuff that you have in basically every single movie wouldn't have happened if George Lucas didn't make Star Wars and make Skywalker Ranch and make THQ and or THQ THX. Okay, like he created everything that every person does. He's not just known for Star Wars. He's known of changing the literal industry for what it's done. All the special effects, all the editing software people used, and everything was because of George Lucas. So selfish of him to raise his kids. I'll never forgive him. What an asshole, right? Lucas is such a dick for raising his children. Think of us, George. Come on. Don't forget Steven Spielberg had his hands in it too. Yes, they've been very vocal about that, Quintar, that they all were in film school together. They all grew up into film school, came out of film school, and there was no competition between Spielberg, Coppola, Lucas. They all did it together, right? They all did it together. They worked together. They weren't in competition of each other. They helped each other out. They all worked on each other's projects. He said it was made for kids, good versus evil, basic story minus politics, etc., and just wanted to tell a story, etc. And then it blew up. He didn't believe it. Right? He didn't believe it. But it doesn't mean he hated it. Lucas said in the Times interview, "Why would I make any more when everybody yells at you and says what a terrible person you are?" And the Rabbit fan base was a major consideration in that sale. In the interview Times, Lucas says in the Times interview. Okay, hold on. What was the question? Is this the interview where he says white slaves, Akuta Papa? In a past interview with Times, Lucas revealed that he was tired of the pressure of living up the expectations of Star Wars fans. Why would I make any more films when everybody yells at you all the time and says that the terrible person? All right, let's see where. Roll the credits. This is the interview. George Lucas. Nope, the one studio exclusive didn't. Okay, Lucas says, astonished, isn't it the job at least to see movies? There's also some dance kid coming in there and saying, we have the little movie. Spielberg, Jim Cameron, Bob Zimmer. Lucas, who is 67 and still in possession of the full. Okay. Star Wars prequels, peak I'm retiring, Lucas said. I'm moving away from the business, from the company, from all this kind of stuff. Jones film, but otherwise Red Tail is also a blockbuster. Lucas also said he decided to devote the rest of his life in 1970s to use to call personal films. It'll be a small scope. But then Star Wars happened, and then Lucas often mused about it. Never committed himself to the uncommercial world until now. Sitting in the sun-drenched office, okay. Last blockbuster. Oh, Lucas is sporting traditional uniform, jeans and buttons. Red Tails movie, Spike Lee. A fan of the fast thing. Star Wars 2. Lucas also said that in the Civil War back in the 1970s, Lucas almost cast an African American for Han Solo, played the first Baltimore mayor in The Wire. Most important thing, Jones, popcorn movie. Red Tails. I'm trying to find this quote in here. Lucas recalled thinking with the red script. I'm looking to make a kind of entertainment movie, so Lucas focused on the middle chapter, dogfights, and the mortar model. Before making the Black Rangers. You're going to making a black movie. Okay. Urban rights in the history. Revenge of the Fanboys. Since 1997, the year Lucas released the special edition of the original Star Wars movies in theaters, he has been attacked by various fans who once embraced this heroic style. They didn't like how Lucas changed the old movies. They didn't like the prequels, which seemed wooden and juvenile. In the Star Wars merchandise blitz, they also once gorged. One had begun driving them nuts. All 6 Star Wars films will return in theaters in 3D beginning in February. He says, I think there's a lot more important things in the world than feuds with fanboys. Lucas says with a kind of weary defiance. But then he gets serious, even a little wounded. Lucas explains that his first major feature, THX 1138, American Graffiti, were forcibly re-edited by the studios. Those were wrenching experiences, and he has compared to some keying your car. He loves cars. Or chopping finger off, or your children. He has 3 and loves them. Afterwards, Lucas set out to gain financial independence, so Final Cut would forever be his. If the movie doesn't work, he vowed, it's going to be my fault. In the last decade and a half, Lucas given Star Wars several final cuts for the 1997 special edition. He made Greedo, a green-skinned alien, fire the blaster in his Han Solo because Han's murdering Greedo is cold blood. As of 1977 version, he had struck him as a violation of his own native style. For the new Blu-ray version of Return of the Jedi, Lucas Darth Vader shouting, no, sees the evil emperor as the movie's climactic scene. Lucas made the Ewoks blink, and so forth. When fanbase wailed, Lucas did not just hear the screams of young Jedis, he also heard something like the voice of the studio. The dumb, uncomprehended voice dialogue, the voice telling me how to make a blockbuster on the internet. All those same guys that are complaining I made a change and completely changed in the movie, Lucas says, referring to fans who, like the dreaded studios, have done their own forcible re-edits. I'm saying fine, but my movie with my name on it says I didn't need to be the way I want it. Lucas seized control of the movies from the studios, only to discover that the fanboys could still give him the script notes. Why would I make any more, Lucas says, the Star Wars movies when everybody yells at me at the time? See, this is the reason I want to know the context of the thing. The question was about the fanboys, okay? And his answer to this, up until the line that he says that why would I make any more Lucas as Star Wars movies when everybody yells at you all the time and says it's a terrible person you are, okay? And his phrasing there is he literally went independent because people that didn't know, right, bigwigs that wear suits were trying to tell him how to make his movie and change things, and he wanted to make it on his own thing. So he doesn't really care, right? And he did what he wanted to. Now people are telling him that you need to change this because of this. This is his project. This is what I'm saying, right? This is exactly what I'm saying, okay? He said those lines because the people, that's not all fans. These are the crazed lunatic fans that want to give him script notes to make the thing better, right? See, when I give criticism, I'm trying to give criticism based on the lore and the story that's been given in front of us that Disney has no longer respected or anything, right? I don't care that he has Jar Jar Binks inside the film. I don't care that he changed the thing from who shot first. those are fans that loved what it was, and then he changed it, but he's the artist. He is literally the only person that could make those changes because he is Star Wars. Right? So to say that Lucas hates the fans, no, he hates the fans that think that they can tell him what to do with his movie. So taking, and this is why I say I don't want to take it out of context. Right, Quintar. So for people to put in, well, he hates fans, and I'm like, that doesn't really sound like George Lucas. I mean, put yourself in his shoes, making something, which is really hard to do because I don't think any of us have made anything as extravagant as Star Wars coming out in the 70s where nothing else was coming out of that. And in other interviews, he says it wasn't out there, so I had to make it. And now everyone makes sci-fi stuff. How much you want to bet most people in charge of Star Wars have never even seen one? Yeah, the devil is in the details, Travis. And this is why I don't take someone's quote for just what it is. We had to read 3 paragraphs before the actual quote just so we understood where he was coming from. Right? And this is also in an interview in the Times for the movie Red Tails, not to do with Star Wars. So talking about there's race and stuff in here, talking about working with black actors and how he wanted to make Han Solo, right? And people that in Star Wars didn't want to make changes, certain things. Well, he did changes in certain things, and he did it his way. Hence why he got Star Wars made, because if he didn't do it his way, it would have never been made. Trust be verified. Exactly, Travis. And this is the way I always do my content, right? I don't take everything from face value. I want to see it myself, right? And I put it on screen so you guys can see it, okay? And we could disagree on stuff, right? But I'm definitely not taking a quote from somebody and being like, well, see what he said? I want to know what that quote is and the context that the quote was said. Because all quotes are always, it's like a bad game of telephone. I could tell somebody, my mother-in-law is terrible at this. You could tell her something, and by the time my mother-in-law gets to telling the third person, the story is completely changed and the context is completely changed. Okay, and that's just the way it is. That's why I say, where's the article? Let me see it. I want to read the context of it. Because if you just give me the context, which Akuta Papa did, right, and said, if I just read it, why would I make any, right? Like, think about it. Why would I make any more of it if everybody yells at me and says it's a terrible person you are, right? If I just take that quote, yeah, that does sound bad, doesn't it? But when you read it in the context of that, what it was said in, he's talking about the crazed fans. He's talking about the fans. I didn't say he hates fans. No, Quintar said he hated fans, and then you said that he said it, and then you put the quote in there, and I said I want to see where the quote was. But he didn't sell because of the stupidity. He could have just ended it. He didn't have to sell. Right? He could have just held on to it. He made his billions of dollars. He could have just taken that, could have gave it to his kids, sort of like Tolkien did with his family. Right? He didn't have to sell it to Disney. He could have kept just getting royalties and stuff from Star Wars. He thought and sold it because he thought that but it killed him inside. He said, when he said the line that I sold it to the white slaves, right? The big corporations that just abuse you and whatnot. He said that he sold it to them because he thought they were the best person to continue what it was. And when he sold it to them, he gave them the treatments for 7, 8, and 9 to continue his story and said, this is it. And they said, no, we don't want your shit. We're going to make our own shit. Right, Travis. I sold because I choose to sell. right? He sold it because he thought that they were going to do a better job for the fans. And they didn't. And they didn't. He doesn't have to do anything else. He laid 4, 5, and 6. He did his job. He did 1, 2, and 3 and finished his story. He had a treatment for 7, 8, and 9, and there's actually on the dark, I forget what the Dark Horse, whatever, there was years ago, like in the late 90s, early 2000s, he had the treatments of those things. That's everything, right? These are the same people, fans, Quintar, that right now, isn't there someone being death threats? There's death threats happening with certain people. I forget what game it is. Oh, is it Bungie, right? Right? They're getting death threats now, right? Those are the same crazed fans that are so passionately in love with something that they don't know how to express themselves, so they do death threats, or they say adjectives in front of certain things, in front of certain people, right? Those are the people that are never going to be accept anything because they want it to be one way and then they don't get it that way, right? And that's not what I am, right? What I am is that Star Wars told a story, right? Lucas and everyone under Lucas told a story up to a certain point. And then Disney took over, and then they created this other section to dismiss everything that was before. Instead of making it their own story and continuing on, Disney could have easily continued the story and moved on from Star Wars 4, 5, and 6 and brought it 1,000 years in the future. They could have done anything. But no, they brought back Luke, Han, Leia. Why? Why did they bring them back just so they could shit on them? That's exactly the reason. They didn't like the fan base. Rian Johnson said, I didn't like Star Wars or whatever, right? And then they hired a person that didn't like Star Wars to make Star Wars, to subvert your expectations. They didn't have a plan. They tried to make 7 like Episode 4 to bring the nostalgia in, right? They did all these things, right? They tried to make them and bring us fans in just so they could, like, what was the line? What was the line that they said? You got to let the past go, right? If they gave them the send off and deserve, I don't think they should have touched them at all, right? In the very beginning, when they used Mark Hamill's voice in the first trailer ever to really bring us in, right? And then you see him in the last 7 seconds of Episode 7. They did it on purpose. They did it on purpose. Somebody somewhere, and we know who it is, right? Like Kathleen Kennedy didn't like that, right? Why would you have to say the Force is female when when literally in episodes 1, 2, and 3 there's hundreds of female Jedi? Why would you have to say that? Right? Now obviously Ahsoka Tano came in after Disney bought him, right? Because I'm pretty sure the Clone Wars series went from after Disney bought it, right? Oh no, it started before. So 2008 to 2014. So they didn't buy him yet, right? So even Ahsoka before Disney bought him was a really badass Jedi, and there was other badass female Jedi as well, right? So why, when you get purchased by Disney and then the girl takes over Lucasfilms, all of a sudden says the Force is female? No one said the Force was male. No, nobody ever said that. It's just they went out to destroy it from the start. From the start. Try to destroy it. They tried to destroy Luke Skywalker's character. They did. They tried to destroy Han Solo's character. They did. They destroyed even Leia's character. Even as the female, they destroyed her character. No, there is no gender. That's what I'm saying, Travis. To come out as a slogan on your shirt, "The Force is female," is retarded. Is retarded. I hope I'm 100% wrong. I hope I'm 100% wrong. They don't change anything. And all the changes they do is literally just to make people angry. They're going to kill Obi-Wan during the Mustafar fight just to make people angry. They're going to put Ahsoka into certain fight scenes that she wasn't in just to make the fans angry. They're going to do these things. They will change the thing, and then at the end they'll be like, "Ha ha, just kidding." Or are they? Either way, I think it's purposely done just to upset the fan base, not please the fan base. And to make television, to make films that way or shows that way, it's a bold move, Cotton. It's a bold move, Cotton, because if you want someone to like your stuff, you want to win them over. You want to make it entertaining and fun without shitting on everything that came before. There's ways you can do it without shitting on everything that came before, right? Like, you could make Ahsoka grand and make her awesome going forward, right? Without shitting on everything that came before her and changing history. I know, Salty. The best Star Wars right now is video games. The Battlefronts were great. Jedi Fallen Order was great. Survivor was great, right? I don't know about Squadrons, but there's plenty of Star Wars games coming. The Outlaws games looks good, right? That realm looks good until they start overlapping into the next era, when it does the crossover, when they start shitting on the characters that you love inside the video games. No matter what they do, finding more and more real fans are sticking to video games. I just thought the whole business model of Squadrons, like separating it from Battlefront to make it a separate game, charging $40, the control scheme, just everything was just weird with it. I think the Starfighter Assault in Battlefront was better than the actual Squadrons game. It seems happening already, seeing Boba Fett and Jedi Survivor. Like, what was the point? Fan service, but it also takes place during that time, so it's okay. You know, yeah, I can see what they were going for because they were fans of X-Wing and TIE Fighter. I just feel like, though, it was a money grab, Akuta Papa. I guess that's what I'm more upset about. They could have taken that. What those old games were, X-Wing and TIE Fighter, and they could have implemented in the Starfighter Assault type of stuff instead of charging $40. They knew it wasn't a full game, right? They knew it wasn't a full game, hence why they charged $40 for it. It was like a last ditch effort of trying to. It was a last ditch effort to try to make money off of it. And they're like, oh, it could have been an update to the game. Instead, they made it themselves. That's why video games are coming to TV. God of War, Last of Us, Uncharted, BioShock, Fallout, etc. They're all out of ideas. Oh yeah, they've been out of ideas for for forever, Salty. Squadrons was the same flight controls as Wing Commander. I also prefer the fast flight in Battlefront. I thought they did a good job. Oh yeah, me and Sarge used to play that game all the time, Akuta Papa. We had the controller and the flight sticks and stuff, and we loved playing TIE Fighter. It was great. Great game back in the day. Great game. Let's look at the graphics, shall we? Let's reminisce. Let's reminisce of X-Wing versus TIE Fighter. I absolutely love this game. This game, all the games like this from Star Wars back then were fantastic, man. This was next level stuff. This is next level stuff. Oh, that would be badass, Akuta Papa. Brainchild, what's going on? Speaking of reusing ideas, is anyone going to talk about Cyberpunk 2077 DLC Phantom Liberty? They literally just escaped from New York, escaped from LA. I didn't know that, Brain. Is that what it is? My eyes, so ugly. Travis, this is beyond. This was the greatest graphics at the time. This was so good. Then you go from this to how about this? Then you go to this. This is Battlefront 2 Space Battle. Right? And this is phenomenal. Right? This is great. Back in the day. Then you go to was it 2017? Then you have this. This is still phenomenal, right? This is 2017's Battlefront 2, right? This combat was fantastic. Yeah, back in 2007, you could board the capital ship. That's right. Right? This is fantastic. This is such a good... We might play this one night this week. We're playing Transformers again tonight. We're Transformers tonight we're going to be playing, right? This is such a good thing, right? If we go to Squadrons, right? This is great too, but look how slow. This was my biggest problem. I know you could speed up and slow down and pivot on whatnot, but doesn't this doesn't look as good as Star Wars Battlefront 2? Very slow, Salty. I agree 100%. Right? This doesn't look as good as Battlefront 2, And it felt so slow and sluggish. My brain couldn't take it. Oh, Galactic Conquest? Battlefront 2 would have been a complete game if they put Galactic Conquest in, Travis. If they put Galactic Conquest in, it would have been the best. That's all you needed for that game. You can't tell me in today's market that wouldn't have done so well. I don't know why they didn't do it. They missed it. They missed it in Battlefront 1, and then they didn't do it again in Battlefront 2. If my gut feeling of Battlefront 3 is in the works, they would be idiotic. They have to put a Galactic Conquest mode in. Co-op Galactic Conquest mode where a group of us can go up against just waves and waves as you're trying to take over. It's like a board game. I mean, come on, man. I just couldn't get past Akuta Papa. You like these games because, one, you're becoming a pilot, right? So you find more enjoyment out of this. For me, this was way too slow once I played Star Wars Battlefront Starfighter Assault, right? This was way, way too slow. Let's see. Here's a comparison. Do they do this side by side? Oh, they don't do side by side. I want them to do side by side. All right, so this is Battlefront. Let's watch the graphics and see if we can see the difference, right? Here, we'll fast forward a little bit. That's Battlefront 2. Do they put them all next to each other? Come on, do the split. Okay. That's Battlefront. Battlefront 2. Actually, stuff look pretty good. I still like Battlefront 2. High Interceptor. Do they ever do a split screen? They don't do a split screen, all three. I want someone to do a split screen. All three of them next to each other. There you go. Squadron's moving pretty fast there. Is that later in the game? Yeah, EA's engines. They're both EA though. Aren't they both using the same engine? Did they do an update in Squadrons to make it faster? That's fair. I still go back in my Microsoft Combat Flight Sim. Runs missions sometimes in real time if I have to kill. I've never played Ace Combat. Man, I would maybe I'll download Squadrons again and give it a shot again. No, we tried everything. We tried everything, Titan, when we played. Me and Sarge played. We went different things. We tried different classes, different maps. We did a whole bunch of stuff. I like how they're breaking it down, like the actual like explosions and whatnot. Each ship has a speed and stat. A-wing was faster. Yeah, we did A-wing. We did all the ships. I just found it so sluggish and whatnot. I did like the maneuvering that you could do, right? Just like back in the day, TIE Fighter, X-wing type stuff. On par with the ship combat. I agree, Salty. I agree. I like the I guess you could say, obviously it's more arcadey compared to, even though there's, yeah, it's more arcadey. Battlefront 2 is more arcadey compared to Squadrons. But to me, it's just the speed feels better. Is there a crossplay? Is there crossplay at Kutapapa with Xbox and PC? I still think the graphics on Battlefront 2 are better. Just look at this, just the speed, man. Yeah, you can whip around like that in Squadrons. Is there third person in Squadrons? I forget, or is it only first person? God, I love Star Wars, man. Rules for life. You're late. I'm gonna be getting off in a few minutes here. We talked about a range of stuff today. We talked about Sony has a new patent coming out for a help system to help you finish the game and play the game for you. We're not play the game for you, but basically make your game, like if you're lost, it's gonna make you complete the game faster. We talked about PlayStation 5 having a streaming 4K streaming internet public beta opened up, so people were getting invites to play the games over streaming service. We talked about Starfield and Xbox and how Samsung's having advertisements now for Starfield and Game Pass and what Xbox is doing for Game Pass. We talked about how much money basically Xbox is going to be making off of like the mobile and whatnot, and not just Game Pass. It's not just about Game Pass. And then we talked about Star Wars, the Ahsoka show. Is my biggest fear. They're basically going to be turning potentially turning Star Wars, where they're erasing stuff that happened in 1, 2, and 3, 4, 5, and 6 because of the veil inside of Star Wars Rebels now coming into Ahsoka show. So there was a leak about how Ahsoka will be on Mustafar, and there's a scene that they filmed with Obi-Wan that he could potentially die, or he becomes part of the Force during the Mustafar fight, which then changes the history, like what happens to Luke, what happens to Leia, all that stuff. So, and then we kind of, at the tail end here, we went into the Star Wars, talked about George Lucas, how he hated the fans, and that's why he sold. But then we got that squared away. We went and looked at the actual quote and had context, and then we started talking about Battlefront 2 and squadrons and whatnot for Star Wars. So that is the rundown, what we did this morning on the stream. We do appreciate you very much for coming out, hanging out with us. We do this Monday through Thursday from 10 o'clock in the morning to about noon Eastern. If you like it, please make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you'd like to go above and beyond that, you can hit the membership button as $5. We'll be back tonight to continue playing Transformers War of Cybertron. We did I did chapters 4, 5, and 6 last night. 2 Decepticon missions and then 1 Autobot mission. And then tonight we'll probably do 2 more. We'll do 7 and 8. We might push past, because 7 and 8 and 9's probably going to be a little smaller, and then 10 is just like 2 missions. So we might finish it tonight. If not, we'll push it over to Friday and finish it as well. Kuda Papa says yes, it does. So it does have crossplay. Yeah, exactly, Kuda Papa. Yeah, it's arcadey more to a full sim. So I appreciate you guys very much. Thanks for hanging out with us this morning, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.